Hey everyone, welcome back to the Atypical Clutter game. My name is April and you are at Atypical Life. Today is day 14, honor your container. I first heard the term container used by Dana K. White. She is a YouTuber with a home and decluttering organization content. She's amazing. I love watching her. But when she said that, I was so excited because finally I had concise words to describe this principle. Your container is your designated space, whether it is your cabinet, closet, bucket, kitchen, purse, entire home, backyard, whatever it is. That is your space, that's your container. Your person, like who you are inside, like it's all your container. Often we try and fit more things in our container than it can hold. You should see my purse. I'm so guilty of this. But what happens? Think about it. Think about your purse. When you have the right amount of stuff in your container, it should be really easy to use. You just pull the thing out, you can get to it, you can open it up, see what's in there, and you pull the thing out when you need it. When your container is slightly overfilled, you will have to take stuff out to see what's in there, and you'll start setting it aside, and then you'll have to take stuff out to get to what you need. And you'll do this in layers until you can reach the desired object. It makes every task just a little bit harder, but you can still put everything away pretty quickly when you need to. Eventually, as you attempt to put more and more in the container without removing anything, you end up with stuff sitting around the container, outside the container. You don't want to put things back. It's too complicated. You can't put everything back. And this is where the problematic visible clutter that really prevents us from ever keeping our house looking tidy. You can't put it away without a complete reorganization of the space. So I want to give you a quick tangent tip as well. If you notice that your house is super cluttered, but many of your containers are actually underused or even empty, I've seen this before, you may need to start thinking about a different organization system, or even maybe learning different tidying habits. Or labeling is great, putting labels on the outside of cabinets and things, and list making is great for all of the people who struggle with out of sight, out of mind. So back to the cluttered containers. The job here is to identify your containers that are overfilled and address it either by decluttering or finding a new container. Someone mentioned the other day, and I'll find her name and put it here, but she mentioned that even your house needs to be the right size container for you, and she went into that a little bit, and that is so true. So if you have a tiny home or apartment, maybe that's not what you necessarily want, but it's what you can afford right now for the time being. Totally understand that. Or maybe it is what you prefer, but the reality is, regardless of whether it's what you want or what you don't want, at some point you have to either decide to live with a mess and the clutter, or you can decide to release the things that don't fit in that space and reduce the amount of clutter that you have. If you live in a larger space where you have a little more flexibility, you can be more flexible with your spaces and kind of switch up and reorganize your containers and put a little bit more in this category and take a little bit out of this category for things that you don't need as much of. For example, we put our pantry in a storage room off of the garage. I don't have room in my kitchen, but I have this little extra space and I can do extra food storage there. I have extra shoes that can be stored by the door for easy access, but also really because the closet is just slightly overfilled and I can't fit there's 2 or 3 pairs of shoes that always end up laying on the floor. Also, making sure all your spaces are optimized. So sometimes adding another shelf to a cabinet can double the space that you have if you have a lot of wasted overhead space above things. Let go of some of your decorative items if you can replace them with pretty multifunctional storage. I don't know, think boxes or pretty boxes or something like that instead of a flower vase. Multifunctional furniture is also really amazing. We invested in these storage shelves. I have some behind me here that have the cubes and the pull-out bins. Those are really amazing with a kid and for just using kids' toys, even some like storage for his clothing and different things. Super easy. And what I love about it is that you're not committed to anything. The biggest commitment that I make is I put a label. I have this label printer and I put a little sticky label on the front that pulls right off when I'm ready to change it up. So there's no commitment and I just have this kind of functional, movable storage all the time. And I love it. And it changes as we grow. And it's been really, really good. My husband thinks we're going to make our whole house cubes, and I might agree.
All right, so this is day 14, declutter, and we're now at 140 items. I'm going to just consider this 10. What I really want to talk about, though, is something else, and this is actually the whole honoring your container and before and after pictures. Before and after pictures are just a great way of illustrating the container concept. I mean, look at the picture on the left and the picture on the right. Obviously, the picture on the left has way too many items to all fit in the space, and the picture on the right has items that fit mostly in the space. I think here's also a good example of like the difference between minimalist. A minimalist wouldn't have anything there on the right-hand picture, but you know, I'm not in that space. I'm not able to subscribe to fully to minimalism. So I do have a little extra stuff here and there. But, so the picture on the left for me was during the summer, and it was a time I said of really difficult decision making. And I was my son was in between two stages where it's like, I don't know what size shoe he wears. I don't know what shoes fit. It's hard to get him to try things on. And it was just like so overwhelming. And I had all this stuff and things were just by the container. They didn't fit in the container anymore. They were creating layers outside of the container and around the container, but they no longer fit in the container, which I have used this container since he was a baby for his shoes, and this has been his space. So I know that there was enough space here for the amount of shoes that he needed mostly. So because I had the knowledge that the space was adequate, it became glaringly obvious to me that the items were overflowing the container and that it was time to declutter.
To sum it up, think about your containers, and if they are underutilized or overutilized, spend a minute deciding whether you would like to declutter those items or those spaces and try to remove some of the stuff, or do you just want to try to reorganize the items and and see if you can't find room somewhere else, or do you just want to live with the mess? Let's be honest, there's no real right answer. All of these things take a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, add a little bit of stress. It just depends on where you want your stress. Do you want it to be with living with the mess every day, or do you want it to be right now trying to figure it out? It just depends what works best for you. As long as you understand the problem, you can fix it whenever you want down the road in a few weeks. Whenever you do have time, you can come back to it. So in the comments, tell us about a container in your life that is a struggle for you or one that you have overcome. I would love to hear your stories about where you've overcome your clutter and the problems you've solved and the creative solutions you've come up with. Maybe also if you're having a problem space, you'll get some feedback that will help. So anyways, thank you guys so much. Don't forget to post your progress pics on #atypicaldeclutter. Please do this at any time you want. Don't feel like you have to like follow along in the game. I plan on coming back to this game over time and kind of re-pushing it again. So if there's not a lot of activity right now, that doesn't mean there won't be activity in the future. All right, so anyways, I will see you guys again soon. Bye!